Hello students, in today's class we are going to discuss aptitude and foundational values in civil services. Before that, again I will say that you need to learn the syllabus. Okay, so the first keyword over here is aptitude. Understand that a fish cannot be judged by its ability to climb a tree because the natural or innate aptitude of the fish or its ability or capability naturally is to swim. Is it clear? We're going to see this in detail. Now, what are the foundational values in the civil services? First one over here is integrity. Integrity means what you say, what you do, there is consistency, there is no difference, there is coherency. Okay, it means satyanishta, honesty and moral uprightness. Second keyword over here is impartiality and non-partisanship. Now that means that a bureaucrat needs to have political neutrality, not program neutrality. We are going to see that in detail. Objectivity over here means vastunishta, which is that the bureaucrat has to take a decision making which is based on facts and logical reasoning. Another part over here is dedication to public services. This means that bureaucrat needs to have a dedication for the public service or his duty. The duty has to be done for duty's sake. Okay. Empathy. This keyword over here means you step into someone's shoes and you analyze the situation. Okay. Samanubhuti. Tolerance. Now this means that respecting other person's views. Karuna. Compassion. Sahishnuta. Okay. Tolerance is Sahishnuta. Compassion over here is when you do step into someone's shoes, you analyze the situation and you take actions. It is actionable. Empathy means compassion, which is encompassing the words such as sympathy, empathy, all together. Let's very quickly take these in detail with the governance example over here. See, now a famous thinker over here mentions that it is your aptitude, not just your attitude, which ultimately determines your altitude in life, whatever success you will attain in life. Okay, you have a positive attitude towards preparation for civil services examination, right? And via practicing, you develop the skill set of CSAT problem solving aptitude. So both of these things are going to define your success in the examination, the rank you get. Is it clear? So basically, we have just seen what is aptitude. Aptitude, again, it is a natural ability to perform a certain task. For example, if there is a mathematician, right, and he is good at problem solving skills, it is his natural aptitude. There is an artist who is very good at creating pictures. That is the natural aptitude of the artist. He can't do the problem solving skills, right? It is natural ability or the innate potential of anyone to acquire a skill. Now, to develop or to enhance this aptitude or skill set in the civil servants in the training program, okay, government has included mission Karam Yogi over here, right? To make a future build ready civil servant. Okay, now let's see over here. Example, there is a policy analyst, okay? He can quickly assess the census data to identify wherever urgent welfare interventions is required. So this is the aptitude. It's a skill set, innate, and it also comes through lot of practice. I've already given you example for your CSAT. Okay, now let's see over here. What is the difference that I taught you in the last class about attitude? I have discussed. It is a psychological construct about any place, object or thing. I'd already said that if I say that I like mangoes, then it is my attitude, a positive attitude or my mindset that of all the fruits I like mangoes. Okay, I uh, I talk about corruption free India. I talk about green environment. That is my attitude towards it. Now, aptitude is basically a natural competency. Somebody is said that he is an inherent administrator, he is an inherent mathematician, he is an inherent musician, right? So that is aptitude, which is naturally, innately present potential in a person. Okay, and definitely this aptitude, it can be trained via your practicing of CSAT paper. You are training your mindset, right? The humanities student are training, right, for this mathematics part. The math students are training for the English comprehension part. Okay, aptitude, definitely it is testable. All those engineers who are doing the problem solving, computer coding, and all these things, right? They can be trained in aptitude. They can be trained in the skill set when you join the company, right? And this definitely determines your performance skill, how you are performing in the company. Now, understand, as a bureaucrat, if you have a very good aptitude for decision making and problem solving, definitely if there is any kind of disaster which is happening in your district, you will be the first one to immediately respond. You will have that natural aptitude for problem solving, right? But this is aptitude, your yogyata, your innate potential. What is attitude? I've already mentioned, I am someone who likes greenery, I like mountains, I feel at peace. I go and I participate in Green India campaign. That is my attitude towards supporting green environment. Is it clear? Now, definitely, attitude is a psychological mental construct. It is inwardly processed, but it is externally seen only when we observe the behavioral change. For example, Swachh Bharat Abhiyan is coming. Okay. Now, the citizens have this attitude, positive development, that there should be cleanliness. And this will be observed only if they have a behavioral change over here when they actually start using the toilets. Is it clear? Now, this attitude, it can be modeled via the value system, right? You try to bring in the attitudinal change, for example, developing the patriotic spirit in the people, right? It determines the ethical stance over here, right? This determines the efficiency. This determines the efficiency in the organization, public or private. This determines the internalization of the values. If you can bring in the uh, attitudinal change. Now, example over here is a bureaucrat who has very empathetic attitude for the victims. For example, Armstrong Payne, right? Mother Teresa, again somebody of having very empathetic attitude over here. Now, another topic, which is it clear the difference between attitude and aptitude? One more diagram which you can draw over here is, just a minute. Right. You can draw this chart. Attitude, right? This is the positive side. And aptitude. Okay. So if somebody, okay, if somebody, what is more desirable in the organization over here? See this. Okay. Now, somebody is having a high attitude. So you can write down, or good attitude over here. Here it comes lower attitude. Again, lower or negative or neutral attitude, you can write down. Again, lower attitude. Here it is high attitude, right? In terms of aptitude, we see over here low aptitude, okay, high aptitude. Again, high aptitude and low aptitude. Now, Warren Buffett has very clearly mentioned that you can hire a person, you can still hire a person with low aptitude, but that person should have a very high attitude to learn, to bring the change in the organization or to contribute for the organization. So this person is still desirable, okay? Desirable person. Box 1. Box 2, definitely very, very super highly desirable, somebody, some bureaucrat, high aptitude and high attitude. Armstrong Pym, another example. E. Sridharan, another example you can write down over here, right? Low attitude, high aptitude. Now understand this. Somebody having a very low attitude, this is not desirable, okay? Low attitude and low aptitude, both of these are not, this is superly not desirable in the organization. Now you understand this context that out of all these four, somebody who has high attitude and high aptitude, yes, desirable, super desirable. Somebody high attitude and low aptitude can be trained. Here the training can be given to the person, right? You can develop, you can lead to the development of the skill set of the person over here. Somebody having high aptitude, very high in skills, but very lazy person, low attitude, tell him to do this work and he's doing it like a week later. So definitely this is going to lead to decrease in efficiency of the organization. But though there are chances for building up the attitude, but still very feeble, not desirable and superly not desirable. Is it clear? This diagram you can remember for your examination perspective. Okay, now let's see another topic over here. Foundational values of the civil services. The first keyword which UPSC mentions is integrity. What did I tell you about integrity? That whenever you do any work, whatever you are saying, okay, and whatever you are doing, there is a consistency and there is a coherency in the decision making over here. If it is said that in your personal life you say that tomorrow 5 a.m. I will get up and I will start my studies, I'll start revising my optional, I'll start studying my optional. If you are somebody who says that and who gets up even when nobody is watching, okay, even when no one is watching you, you are taking the complete accountability on yourself, that is integrity. In the governance perspective, we have seen a very classic example of Subhash Chandra Bose. Yes, you can say a very classic example over here is of Lal Bahadur Shastri. Right? He, as a rail minister, had resigned from his post, right, when the train accident had happened. He took the entire accountability on himself. Is the word integrity clear? It is honesty, definitely. It is moral uprightness, definitely, right? And it is the coherency and the consistency. Okay, you have to know this word, you have to use it again and again in your answers. Second word over here is impartiality and non-partisanship, which means nishpakshata. Impartiality, you have to see everything with the eye of justice, with the eye of bringing in fairness in the governance process. Everything you have to decide, it has to be on the basis of merit. You need not to have biases or prejudices. Again, I would like to mention one thing over here, that this impartial attitude of a bureaucrat will be possible if he develops a veil of ignorance, which John Rawls has mentioned about differential equality. As a bureaucrat, you need to have a very impartial attitude towards the programs and distribution of the programs and welfare schemes in your district. Is it clear? Now, non-partisanship. Basically, you have to be one who has to not support any party. There should be party neutrality, because understand that 5 years the government keeps on changing, but the bureaucracy, it is permanent, right? It is a permanent executive. It is always present. So what happens over here, that you don't have to attach to any value system of party, rather you have to attach your value system to the constitution and to the implementation of the programs at the grassroots level. For example, this neutrality has been observed, okay. It is mentioned in Constitution that under Article 325, Election Commission is supposed to have a neutrality towards the election process in India. Okay. Now, another keyword over here is objectivity. Now, this word over here means vastunishta. Again, it means that the decision making as a bureaucrat you take, it is based on the facts. It is based on the logic, right? It is based on a rational decision making rather than any kind of rhetoric or opinion which has been created in the air or in the public at that time, right? And all these facts have to be verifiable empirical facts. You can't be just taking a decision making on what somebody says. Okay, for example, the Aadhaar implementation, okay, done by a bureaucrat in his district, it has to be without any kind of discrimination, right? It has to be based on the fact, right? This is your Irish scan, this is your fingerprint scan, this is your address proof, right? So without any biases or without any opinion about what is going in that community, in the place where you are posted, you take a decision making, right? Dedication to public service. Now, this is basically again dependent on Immanuel Kant's deontological perspective, which talks about duty, which talks about duty for duty's sake, right? He says that this dedication of public service, it can only come when a bureaucrat realizes that this duty is a inherent virtue. The duty is good in itself. That kind of dedication is required for public services without any expectations or without any kind of greed in return. Okay, service without, with commitment despite of the hardship, despite of the postings. This kind of duty in public services we have seen in the doctors who had been working day and night during the time of COVID pandemic. Okay, empathy. Empathy over here means samanubhuti. Okay, now it basically means that if my friend, she's coming to me, okay, I'm listening to her, okay, and I don't feel, I just listen to her, okay, and I'm not able to help her or do anything. I just listen, okay, huh? That's sympathy. Okay, okay, okay. That kind of feeling. Right? But when your friend is talking to you and you step into her shoes, his shoes, and you try to analyze the whole situation. Okay, this scenario happened, that happened. Then you say, I understand. Okay, I understand. And you feel his pain. That is empathy. Sympathy is sahanubhuti. I sympathize with you. Okay, I feel sorry for you. Empathy is I feel your situation. I feel your pain. Okay? You deeply understand others' feeling over here. Okay. Classic governance example over here is of Armstrong Payne. He was the one who had built 100-kilometer road in Manipur. Okay. Bureaucrats need to have a very high empathetic attitude. Why? Why? Because bureaucrats are the one, tomorrow you are going to be the one who is going to ensure that the scheme is implemented at the grassroots level, right? So, this empathetic attitude towards the weaker and the vulnerable sections of the society is very, very essential to prevail the continuance of human dignity. Is it clear? Okay. Tolerance. Tolerance means there may be two friends. One is having opinion that I prefer vegetarian food. One is having opinion I prefer non-vegetarian. Right? So either of them should not criticize each other, first of all. There should be a place where both of them can keep their own views. You understand the meaning. Sahishnuta, tolerance, space for respecting the opinion of others. Is it clear? In fact, this is seen in Indian constitution in terms of religion, where the constitution has been provided. The key word over here is secularism, and the spirit of secularism in the constitution upholds the spirit of tolerance, right, in the Indian society. For this government, it is bringing schemes such as Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat, right, under Ministry of Cultural Affairs, where various states they come together. You know, every state is having a different set of belief, right? They are coming together and they are celebrating the whole uh, culture, and they are trying to bring in homogeneity. They're trying to bring in unity in diversity, right? You can say that various heterogeneous cultures coming together and trying to build one unified cultured India. Is it clear? That kind of tolerance is required in society, but in today's time, given the kind of political scenario which is going on, even if you are speaking something, right, uh, you are claimed as anti-national, you are claimed as you are not actually claimed. Basically, lot of hate crime is happening because the society is not tolerant. Lot of cow vigilantism is happening, again lack of tolerant attitude in the society. A lot of mob lynching is happening, a lot of dalit lynching is happening because of, again, entering into this post-truth democracy era, where we are seeing that a lot of miscommunication is spreading across the society, leading to a very non-tolerant attitude among all the sections. Is it clear? Now, another keyword which specifically uh, syllabus mentions over here is compassion. Now, understand that I see your pain. Okay. I was saying this word sympathy. When my friend she comes to me, okay, and I say, oh, I see your pain. And then she comes to me and I say her that I feel your pain. Right? When I club these two, right? There is a greater Venn diagram. When I start acting on this part, when I take some kind of action, then it becomes compassion. This compassion we had very well seen with Mother Teresa, who had been working for the destitutes and the people suffering from leprosy in Kolkata. Is it clear? This kind of compassionate attitude is required in the bureaucrat. Only then can he lead to implementation of schemes for the weaker and the vulnerable sections in the society. Is it clear? Are the words clear? The meaning clear? The example clear over here? Okay, this is what you need to know in the syllabus and understand. These are those words that you have to reiterate in your answers, not that it should look mechanical. Again, now from my daily answer writing program, okay, if you keep on writing, then I can guide you how you have to put these keywords. Okay, keywords are very essential. The ethical terminologies are very important over here. Okay, so Nolan committee, it has mentioned, now I have already mentioned that there is a document that you have to quote in your examination for getting marks. Second, administrative reforms commission. Okay, over here again, Nolan committee has discussed that there should be 7 principles in public life or holding public offices. Right. Now, before I tell you these, you can learn a mnemonics over here, which is Ohio. Okay. ALS. From O, we will be discussing objectivity. From H, it is honesty. I, integrity. Again, O, openness. A, accountability. L, leadership. S is selflessness. Is it clear? So let's pick up the first keyword which Nolan committee has given. It is selflessness. Again, you are doing the duty for duty's sake, because duty is inherently good in itself. You are not expecting any kind of external gift or reward. You believe that it is your commitment to the duty, it is your dedication, and without a selfless attitude, you are acting for the public interest. Example over here is E. Sridharan. He has been known as the Metro Man. He had worked despite the political pressure. He was the one who had led to completion of Delhi Metro Rail Corporation for bringing welfare to the people. Is it clear? Selflessness, niswartha. Integrity. Integrity I have already discussed. Satyanishta, what you say, what you do, right? There is coherency, there is consistency, there is accountability, and all this is happening even when nobody is watching you. You are ensuring in your personal and in your professional life that there is honesty and there is moral uprightness. Example over here is Lal Bahadur Shastri when he had resigned as a rail minister. Now, another keyword which again Nolan committee mentions is objectivity. Now, this is a little repetition which we have discussed above. Again, this is the decision making. It is done on the basis of facts, right? On the basis of logic, on the basis of rationality. This decision making is not on the basis of emotions. Again, as a bureaucrat, there will be situations that you will have to implement the schemes, right? And those implementation of the schemes have to be done on the basis of the merit based criteria which has been prescribed by the government. Another example we can take over here, that whatever recruitment process UPSC takes place, it ensures that there is merit based selection over here. Now, accountability. Understand over here that this keyword accountability, it means that there is first of all a responsibility which has to be taken up by the bureaucrat, and in return there has to be a answerability. Okay, accountability basically, it is a two-way process, right? And understand, this is again antithetical to the monologic power. This Scheller has said in Public Administration, for bringing the accountable government, there has to be a two-way process, that I will take responsibility for certain act, right? And as a bureaucrat, and then I will also represent my answer to it. If any kind of responsibility is not fulfilled by me, I will be answerable to that act. Is it clear? It is two-way process. So what happens basically, uh, we have all studied in polity. CAG, the Comptroller Auditor General of India, it is auditing the government expenditure and it presents the report in the Parliament. So by this, it holds the government which is in power accountable, right? Openness, another keyword over here. Openness means there is transparency or pardarshita in the implementation of the welfare schemes or the decision making which is done by the bureaucrat over here, right? One very classic example of openness is seen in right to information Act, the implementation of the RTI Act, and this implementation we had seen in during the time of Jan Sunwai, right? And this Jan Sunwai was basically a reading of the descriptive rules of the Manrega workers in Rajasthan. So it is very essential that there is accountability. It is very essential that there is openness. It is very essential that there is spread of correct information in the democracy, right? Okay, example, whatever procurement, okay, whatever procurement the government is doing via EGEM, okay, via EGEM, it is trying to make sure that it is openly published for all the public, right? And this leads to reduction in the corruption in the governance. Is it clear? Now, another keyword over here is honesty. Honesty means being truthful over here, okay? Declaring any private interest you have relating to the public duties. You have a very moral, uprighteous behavior over here, right? For example, the MPs, they must fill their annual declarations, right, before any kind of assets and liabilities to the parliament. Honesty, you can always say honesty is the best policy in terms of your personal life, but here we are talking about the public life. Honest example you can take over here is of Ashok Khemka. Ashok Khemka. He has been one of the officers who stood up for honesty, right, against the scam of the land mafia which had been happening despite the multiple transfers. He never changed his value system. Another keyword which is over here is leadership. Okay, as a bureaucrat, you need to have that courage. You need to have that set leadership skill to take the morally right decision making, upholding the ethical principles. It is under Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam's leadership that the space program in India has been very successful. Is it clear? Now, apart from this, certain other words which are important for your examination perspective, 4 5, I have picked it up over here. Let's very quickly see them. First is devotion to duty. Duty. Whenever the word duty is coming, you must be very well familiar that this is again talking about Immanuel Kant's deontology. And this is basically the categorical imperative to have to do the duty for duty's sake, right? See over here, this devotion to duty without anything in return or desire, it has been also related to the nishkam karma of Bhagavad Gita. For example, the doctors and the IS officers who had been working during the time of pandemic, they had a devotion to the duty. Sense of mission, right? It is long term purpose in the government. For example, if you are becoming a bureaucrat, what is the sense of mission in your district? You will be the one who will lead to implementation of the welfare scheme over here. That ethical sense of vision, today you are taking a decision and tomorrow it is going to impact the larger segments. Example over here, again you can talk about Dr. Varghese Kurian, right? He was the one who had led to the development or starting of Operation Flood in India. Is it clear? Now, leading to this led further to White Revolution. After this, Food Revolution, right? And this in another thing, it led to food security. Another keyword over here is probity and rectitude. Okay, probity over here, it is a professional sense of integrity. It is basically honesty, moral uprightness, and it is integrity all together, right? In the professional sense, you ensure over here that there is no misappropriation of the government funds. Whatever money is coming, that is used for your government welfare schemes, not for your personal objectives. One entire class I'm going to have or discuss about probity. You can write down that there is there is no financial impropriety in probity in governance, right? And there needs to be rectitude. Rectitude is you are standing for your own value system. TN session, we had seen this classic example during the time of implementation of moral code of conduct in the election procedure when there was lot of criminalization of politics happening around. Is it clear? Accountability, I have just discussed. When you are answering, when you are taking responsibility and you are answering, both the terms, right? You are owning up to your decision making. How? By taking responsibility for it and by answering it. Both of them you are doing. So, RTI Act, right? This is again way of bringing in accountability in the governance. Jan Lokpal movement, it had led to corruption free India campaign, right? Passage of Lok Ayukt and Lokpal Act. Moral courage. Now, this means you stand for what's right despite the risk. The ex-IS officer, P.S. Appu, and the ex-director of Labasna, he stood for his decisions, okay? And in turn, he had to even resign. He was ready for that. He had that moral courage of conviction that I will stand by my value system, right? So these are the keywords over here. Let's very quickly see some questions over here. Examine the qualities of public servant which will be required to manage the situation. What are the qualities? We have already discussed somebody above: dedication to public service, empathy, tolerance, and compassion to the weaker section. Remember your syllabus. Integrity, right? Another thing you can write down: the Nolan Committee's second ARC recommendation on the 7 principles, right? You have to examine and you have to give the example of each. State the 3 basic values universal in nature. Universal means something which is always present, constant, in the context of civil service, and bring out their importance. What is a universal value that is required? Integrity, right? Integrity is required, most essential. Selflessness, okay, this will be little same. Integrity, you can write leadership apart from this, right? Then you can write accountability. Okay, these basic value systems, any of the one you can pick from the dedication to public services, right? Supplement it with the example over here. Okay, you are heading a rescue operation in the area affected by severe natural calamity. Thousands of people are rendered homeless over here, and many of them are deprived of food, drinking water, and the basic amenities. The rescue work has been disrupted by heavy rains and damage to supply routes. The local people are seething with anger against the delayed implementation of the rescue operations. Definitely, right? When your team reaches the affected area, the people there heckle and even assault some of your team members. One of your team member is even severely injured. Faced with this crisis, some team members plead with you to call off the operations, fearing the threat to their life. In such circumstances, what will be your response? UPSC has asked this question. Will you listen to your teammates and you will just call off the whole action? So now, what is required in this question? Okay, we are going to integrate 3 things over here. First is, for a bureaucrat, you need to have a right attitude. You need to have aptitude for the problem solving skill. Attitude which must be seen in his behavior or the decision making he does in this scenario. His aptitude for problem solving in such a scenario. Apart from this, the kind of emotional, not the kind, a bureaucrat of very high emotional intelligence. This keyword, emotional intelligence, I'll be discussing in my next class, right? So basically, in such circumstances, what is going to be your response? Okay. I will expect you to write me this answer. I have given you these keywords. Certain other things I can tell you over here. First of all, the you have to ensure that you work with your team members. There is a work culture which is having dedication to public service. There should be courage to work even in such times. So you have to be having those leadership skills. See, I'm picking up the keywords from work. That leadership skills to motivate your team members. Okay, first of all that. Second, whatever crowd which is coming and attacking your team members, you have to ensure that there should be good social communication skills with those people, right? You need to have those skill set also. Now, third thing over here is again having being a person or bureaucrat who has high empathy for the people who had been suffering, right, by hundreds of people who have been rendered homeless. You will ensure that a temporary rehabilitation camps have been set up for them in your district. So if you're doing all these works, do you think, and you motivate the team members, do you think that you can resolve the problem which has been created? Mitigation and rehabilitation, quick mitigation and rehabilitation. Why there is delayed and why there is limited rescue operations? You have to have those aptitude also for disaster solving skills. Is it clear? Please write me this answer, okay? And then we can further discuss. Now, in my next class, I am going to discuss another keyword over here, which is very important from your exam perspective, that is emotional intelligence. Now, 2 minutes I'll take. Emotional intelligence means bhavnatmak buddhimata. Okay, it is different from your mental IQ. It is your ability to understand, to perceive, to analyze, and to channelize the emotions in the right way with rationality in the decision making. This scenario, suppose, is happening, this kind of disaster event has happened. If you are a bureaucrat, you can start panicking. You can get very aggressive on your team members. You have to be somebody who has to keep his calm, who has to see the situation from 360-degree view and resolve the issue. Is it clear? Okay.